Good morning. It's time for the Thursday morning live stream. I'm Mitch Beinhacker, Beinhacker Law, and the host of The Accidental Entrepreneur, a business podcast on Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and soon to be Amazon. Amazon is um, launching a podcast directory soon. So I had a little bit of technical problems this morning logging into Zoom. So it's about 10:35. These live streams are becoming like a mini video podcast on a weekly basis. So I was looking at the calendar and I was talking to a new friend of mine, Dr. Jean, yesterday, and I was listening to a 4-minute video clip on LinkedIn with two of my friends, Trevor and Lori, this morning about documenting things and being on top of the stuff that you need to run your business and your life. And it's a recurring theme with me. Basically most of my practice is a document shop, and I'm always drafting agreements and wills and trusts and business agreements for people. So it is getting to be the end of the summer. We're going to be hitting Labor Day soon. Hopefully things will get back into gear a little bit. The kids go back to school. So I've said this in the past, in the spring, but it is time to really get serious about reviewing things. So, for example, if you have a child who is we'll call them a semi-dependent, quasi-dependent, 18 or older, and they're at school, they should already have a HIPAA release that they've signed for you, a healthcare directive that they've signed, and perhaps you want to consider the DocuBank card that I offer to my customers. I will show you the card. Let's see. And this is the DocuBank card. So there's a college version. There's ones for parents and even for special needs children. And if your child is at school and they go into a nursing, a medical facility or hospital, they would have this emergency card, as I do in my wallet, for them to access their healthcare directive and so forth, that names you as the healthcare representative. So it's kind of a good thing. It's a good thing for older parents who don't live nearby you to have this in their wallet as well. This price includes the advanced directive, the healthcare directive as well. So that's something to consider. And I get a lot of parents that called me, we'll stop the share there, that called me in a little bit of a panic because their kids are going off to school for the first time and they got to execute all this stuff. So I am available if they're at school already. It's a little bit more difficult to do. When it comes to a HIPAA release, you also should contact the health center at the university, and they, I'm sure, have forms that you would want your child to sign. So a lot of the HIPAA forms don't need like witnesses and notarization and stuff. So you can get the form from the school, have your child sign it and mail it to you so you have it, or file it, put it on file at the health center. And then personally, you should be taking a look at your wills, taking a look at your advance directives, maybe getting DocuBank for you and your spouse, renewing your powers of attorney, taking a look at trust agreements, beneficiary designations um, on your retirement plans, IRAs, life insurance, annuities. If you have any pay on death designations on bank accounts, you want to review those and make sure everything's coordinated. Because very often I get into situations where I read a will and then look at the titling of their property, maybe their home or whatever, and I see that they're not coordinated. One is circumventing the other. And titling and beneficiary designations will circumvent your will. So if your will says, I leave my life insurance to my daughter, and the life insurance beneficiary is your spouse, the money will go to your spouse, not your daughter. This doesn't work that way. So it's a good time to review all that stuff. I do free consultations via Zoom if you would like to set it up and call me and we can go over everything, talk about what you might need. If you are a small business owner, as are hopefully all the listeners to the podcast, it is a good time to take a look at your partner agreement, to take a look at what's called your buy-sell agreement, which more specifically than an operating agreement addresses the issue of voluntary termination, meaning one of you wants to walk away from the business, wants out. Involuntary termination, there's a creditor situation or a divorce, death and disability. Those are the four main focuses of a buy-sell agreement. And I do have some situations right now where we're doing some work for various businesses, and one of the partners wants out, and they don't have an agreement in place, and it's a mess. And then it's an argument about what it's worth to the person who's staying and the person who's leaving. The person who's leaving wants their full value. The person staying say, "Hey, you're leaving me with this, and now I got to hold the bag, so I got to take all the risks. So what is it worth?" And there's a lot of arguments if you don't have that documented as to how you would deal with it ahead of time, um, when you're all getting along and the business is going well. And unfortunately, when we run our business, we tend to neglect those things, the operational side of your business. As a matter of fact, I was listening. I mentioned to Trevor and Lori talking on LinkedIn this morning. They were talking about the documentation of the operational side of your business. You know, what are the systems that you use to run the business? Do you have things in writing where you could say to one of your key employees, listen, I'm going away for a month. Here's the binder, run the business. And if you don't have that, it's certainly something that you want to put in writing, make it a goal of yours in the next quarter, the next 90 days, to start documenting the process in which you run the business. You may also find that you want to improve processes and make sure that each employee knows what their role is. It's also very common with a business as it grows that the business is reliant on one or two particular employees. They become essential employees, which is great to have good people, but it's also it's a dangerous way to live if that person gets sick or dies or gets ill or wants to leave the business. So you want to change that and make the business not so dependent on that particular person. If you can afford to, give the person 2 weeks off. And for the 2 weeks prior to their vacation, you can tell them to prepare the business to be able to run without them. And it won't make this person obsolete. If anything, it'll allow them to move up into management and control and to help you with running your company. But that's how a effective business is run. We don't, we build small businesses and we tend to have like a right-hand person that started with as our assistant, and they grow up into being the admin person, the office manager, and everything runs through them. And they have little notes and little things all over the place, and they know how to run things, and they think it protects their job, but it really hurts the business, and it really hurts potentially the employee and the owner of the business, because there's no ability to delegate and to have people do different things and be cost effective about it. So it is definitely a good time to evaluate how you run your business. Do you have an operational handbook for your employees and job descriptions? And what are the systems that you use to run the business? Marketing systems, emailing systems, calendaring systems, accounting systems. And often, and it's a very common problem in business, that what an employer does is he or she finds a system that they like and they put it in place without taking into account, does it support what the employee is doing or what that department is doing? Does it fit with the way they work? And can they change, and maybe they can, to use the tools that you're putting in place? Because if they're not going to use the tools and the only thing it does is make it more difficult, it makes them more aggravated with running their business, maybe it's not the best tool for them. And it's a common problem where you don't include those employees. So if you're putting in systems, operational systems, and there are some very good people that can help you do this, including my friend Trevor, you want to make sure you include your key employees in that discussion, the people that run those different departments, and include all the departments and all the department heads, if you have them, into the discussion. Because if you're putting an accounting system in place, if you're starting to use QuickBooks or whatever system you're using, you not only want to make sure it supports the financial people in the business, the people who handle the bookkeeping and the accounting, but that it also supports the operational side of the business and the other parts of the business for them to support each other. So a real important thing to do at any time of the year, but certainly coming into the fall, make it your goal to get that done by the end of the year and then start implementing in the new year. I have recently interviewed several people on the podcast, of which have, they started with a small business. Maybe it was in real estate, maybe it was in, some kind of retail business, restaurants, whatever. And when they started, they were doing everything, but they had made the jump. They made it their business to figure out, okay, how can I hire people to run the parts of my business that I don't want to or need to do, where they can focus on the dreaming, the bigger things, you know, one or two, four, three or four big things that they want to work on that day or that week or so forth. They shouldn't be the one sweeping the shop floor anymore. They shouldn't be the one supervising the work, making sure that in real estate, for example, the toilets are installed and the plumbing's working and the inspectors get things done. It should be the kind of thing where if you're doing, I just had an interview with a guy, Tyler, who does a lot of flipping of properties. Well, he doesn't really go to the properties anymore. He doesn't even find the properties anymore. He just runs the business from a 30,000 foot purview and keeps growing it and has goals and objectives in writing and strategic plans to grow the business and puts good people in place. One of the things he said to me, which I think is good advice, is that if you put people in place, you need to evaluate pretty quickly whether they're the right people. I mean, look, people make hiring decisions all the time, and sometimes they're wrong and they have to make adjustments. But you want to do that as quickly as you can. So if you bring somebody on board and it turns out they're not reliable, they're not doing the job, they're not, self-sufficient, you want to replace that person as quickly as you can, because we all learn as we go and we all make mistakes. And we'll have failures, we'll have obstacles, but you certainly want to kind of retool. And when it comes to business, look, we make mistakes all the time. A lot of people don't evaluate things because they're afraid of realizing that they made mistakes and they're afraid to make changes. Mistakes are something that happens when you're in business and you own a business. Don't try and avoid mistakes. You will make them. Don't try and avoid failures. You will fail. I don't know what it will be, but you will fail in some ways. And that's how we grow and learn. Things will not always go the same way. And there's no magic formula. A formula that works for one person doesn't necessarily work for you. Part of it may work, part of it may not. So a lot of that evaluation is if you accept the fact that failure is a learning opportunity and an opportunity to grow, and you're not going to always pick the right people, but you want to be cognizant of the fact that if you pick the wrong person, you don't let them cause a lot of damage to your business inadvertently. That you make those changes. And the documenting, which is a lot of times people don't want to do, and the creating of systems and the creating of handbooks and the creating of manuals to run your business is the way you start moving away from the day-to-day operations, where you can go back if something's not working and look at, well, how do I have this documented? Are they following the procedures? Is it working for them? Why are they not following the procedures? But if it's all in your head and everybody's just kind of running ramshot every day, keeping the business going, filling boxes and getting them out the door and not really paying attention to a lot of things, that's when businesses suffer. And they suffer when cash flow diminishes, especially during like a pandemic and everything gets revealed as, whoops, we just had a lot of cash flow. We didn't have a lot of profits. So that is my comments and thoughts for today. Look at your personal documents, look at your business documents, look at your business processes, make it your business by the end of the year to get it all in place and all documented. And there's tools, I'm sure, online. There's software tools. You can do it in handwriting. You can do it in printed version. I would do it in something where you can share it and print it and maybe an online document or however you want to do it. But this has been the Thursday morning live stream. I'm Mitch Beinhacker from Beinhacker Law. I'm a business attorney in Clark, New Jersey. I work with small business owners all over the place, helping them with documents. And I host The Accidental Entrepreneur. Be sure to subscribe and listen to all of our episodes. It is August 27th, and I wish everybody a good weekend and a very good Labor Day, although we will be doing live next Thursday. If anybody has any thoughts for the live stream, any suggestions or topics they'd like me to cover, please put it in the comments under the video, send me an email, contact me through the website. Also, for those of you who are on our mailing list, we just launched a YouTube channel for the podcast that went out, I think, on Monday, because all the Zoom interviews we've been doing, it saves the video. So that just comes up raw form, behind the scenes type of stuff. You can watch the talks that are going on with all the different influencers and the business owners and the entrepreneurs and the authors and the inventors and all those types of things. We also are launching, in the process of launching, a podcast store. In the podcast store will be all the products and services and books that are offered by the guests that come on the show. And that's through an Amazon affiliate link. So if you click on that and you purchase the book, it will support the podcast to a very small extent, 10% or something we get. And as well as we'll be launching a page with merchandise. So we'll be offering anything to support the podcast: t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, with the cover art from the podcast. So watch for that. And please tune in, share this video, and send in your questions and comments. Take care and have a good weekend.